So here we are back behind some more gameplay, talking about a conversation point that was brought up on one of the most recent episodes of The Sheet with Jeff Marek. This is a very simple video, and it's one that I don't think we need too many graphics on the screen to support what it is we're saying. But this is the quote here from August 20th, 2025. Jeff Marek on the episode of his podcast went out there and said this about the Detroit Red Wings. I still don't think Steve Yzerman is done tinkering with his team for the upcoming season. And this can be seen as a total nothing burger. Hey, why are you bringing up that Stevie Y is not done tinkering with his team? Isn't every NHL team tinkering with their team still? Is it not reasonable to say that no NHL team is done, quote unquote? It's kind of ridiculous to single out Stevie Y. But of course, Marek went out there and specifically labeled out Steve Yzerman as a GM who is not done business yet. But a lot of folks are asking, what does that mean? What kind of transactions could Steve Yzerman be thinking about doing? And what avenues will he explore? It's kind of interesting because the tweet that we looked at from NHL Rumor Report, it's got a few replies that are quite angsty. It's apparent to me, based off of reading the market, reading the tea leaves from what folks are saying, that patience with Steve Yzerman is starting to run a little bit thin. And I can understand why. The Red Wings haven't really done all too well the past few years. They were supposed to take a step up after the 2024 playoff push that they had towards the end of that season, but things really went off the rails quickly when the season in 24-25 started out the way that it did. Lo and behold, the team fired Derek Lalonde, they brought in Todd McLellan, and things started to turn around. But you could also say that with the acquisitions that Yzerman has made in the offseason over the years, the Red Wings haven't really put themselves in the best position to improve. Some of these guys that are getting added on aren't necessarily amazing, and some of these guys are getting contracts that are pretty beefy too. So it's obviously not ideal for a lot of these names to be added, and for Steve Yzerman, some of his reputation has been challenged a bit because of these acquisitions. Hey, Stevie Y's tossing money to middle-aged, not really great players that are going to stick around in Detroit for a while. Is this the right way for a rebuilding team to get better? And so now I think about it like, all right, we already saw Steve Yzerman have his shot at free agency. Lo and behold, he goes out there and says that a lot of the guys he wanted to sign weren't even available. They re-signed with their teams, or they got traded and signed with new teams before the date of free agency was actually reached. We saw no Besser, no Tavares, no Ekblad, no Marchand, no Bennett, no Marner hit the free agent market. And you know Nick Ehlers was not going to go over to a team like Detroit. So, the Red Wings have no options but to go out there and start thinking about trades. Which is why we have some articles that are going out there and discussing what possibilities could be. Let's go over onto an article on RedWingsInsider.com by Julian Trecker 2 days ago. I mean, you can talk about the clickbaity title all you want, it'll be linked in the description, but this piece also has the same Jeff Marek quote and the same Jeff Marek episode of The Sheet. And in the bottom it goes out there and says this: a few interesting players reportedly remain available, such as Jason Robertson and Mason McTavish. There's no doubt that the Wings could, would, and should go after one of them. With McTavish still without a contract for next season, fans are eager to see where he'll end up signing. As for Jason Robertson, he has a year left in his contract, meaning he could end up getting traded ahead of the deadline, like Mikko Rantanen did, or Robertson could get traded next summer, like the Maple Leafs did with Mitch Marner. So both of these guys are in the mix here. We already spoke about Mason McTavish a bunch over the past few months here, and even recently there was another article published by Ryan Dixon on Sportsnet that wrote about McTavish potentially being a Red Wings acquisition. I've said it a ton, he's a really perfect Detroit Red Wing. I love the way that he plays. He's hard-nosed, he's aggressive, he's a bodied force, and he can score a lot of points. He kind of has that dog that Marco Kasper has, with the scoring touch of maybe a Dylan Larkin from when Larkin was 22-ish. And McTavish also has the size to boot, so there's a lot to like out of him and his overall profile. I think that just the way that he plays would be a perfect complement to the Red Wings and the system they have in place. You can also talk about McTavish in between Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat. I think that line would be so difficult to play against. The playmaking of Kane, the sniping of DeBrincat, and the all-around nastiness that McTavish can bring for you. Just a lot of diversified skill sets being put together. We already saw how good Kane and DeBrincat can be on the same line. Add on a hard-nosed player like McTavish and you're going to go places. As for Jason Robertson, I mean, having him as a number one left wing alongside a Larkin and Raymond would finally give the Red Wings a bona fide, totally dangerous, top of the league type of line. Robertson, Larkin, Raymond, the RLR line, if you wanted to say it like that, would just be so good to watch. I mean, Larkin and Robertson already have that American connection. They played for Team USA at the Four Nations together, so there would already be a little bit of camaraderie there. Add on Lucas Raymond and his all-around skill set. If he can become more like that Mitch Marner-esque player too, maybe reach a high of 90, 95, 100 points even, then there could be some really interesting things that the Red Wings do with that top line. Heck, don't even get me started on the idea of acquiring both, which we know is probably not going to happen. But Jason Robertson, Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, Kane, and a McTavish there, having Casper and JVR in your third line, that'd be so stacked. Of course, that's totally dreamlike Fantasia material. That's not going to happen. But if the Red Wings were to make a big blockbuster trade, they would probably have to get at least one of these guys, right? I don't think anybody else, like a Middlestad or a Zacha, moves the needle as much. Zacha's pretty good, but I do think that McTavish is just that much better. Also, you have the fact that Detroit has some prospects that they probably wouldn't consider trading, like Axel Sandin Pellikka. He's the best one in the system at the moment, and it doesn't really seem like they're in a spot to move him, considering their lack of right-handed defensive depth. So if an Anaheim team were to be calling for a right-handed D-man, Stevie Y would have to do his best to try to convince Pat Verbeek that Justin Hall is the guy, which of course is not going to happen. You're not going to see a McTavish for Hall trade go down anytime soon, but hey, we have to dream at some point, right? If ASP is inevitably on the market, though, then I guess you could really start to open up the possibilities for a McTavish to Detroit trade. I just very much doubt that he would be available in the market, Axel Sandin Pellikka. He's too valuable in the Red Wings organization right now, right? As for Jason Robertson, we already made a video the other day talking about what Dallas's trade price was for this guy. They didn't just want a roster player, they wanted a bunch of stuff. They wanted prospects, they wanted roster players, they wanted draft picks, and I'm not saying the Wings don't have the assets to get that type of a trade done. It's just, at some point, Stevie Y's got to bite the bullet here. He has been very hesitant to do so over the past few years. Aside from maybe the Alex DeBrincat trade, there hasn't really been any big blockbusters from Detroit's point of view where they go out there and acquire the big fish. Jeff Petrie, I guess, was a big fish, considering how big and expensive his contract was, but still, different kind of trade here, of course. So with all that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Jeff Marek's assessment on the Detroit Red Wings? Yzerman is not done tinkering with his team. Do you agree with this idea? What names do you think the Red Wings could target? Do you agree with McTavish and or Jason Robertson? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.